What's going on, people? We are here with a video. Today we got an interview with Riley. Now, this is going to be an interesting one, but of course, when Riley was on 90 Day Fiancé with Violet, that was a very interesting season, of course. So, of course, throughout most of the season, Riley was portrayed in ways that didn't exactly make him look good. Meanwhile, Violet was portrayed in other ways, but then near to the end, they started to portray Violet more in terms of how she really was, started to really show more lighter sides of Riley. But either way, though, throughout the season, there was a lot of things that I said, a lot of things that many people said that definitely didn't sit right with Riley at the time. Mostly, I would say, due to the fact the way the show presented him were ways where it was easy for myself or anybody else to pretty much say, hey, he's doing this, he's doing that, da 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 da. But in reality, when it came to social media, especially if it was his TikTok, it was definitely letting you know that, hey guys, the way they're doing this right now, it's not right. So much that I understand that there was even times where he was kind of borderline breaking the NDA. But we're finally here where NDA is now finally done. So now we've got Riley unleashed. This is about to be entertaining. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also on top of that, Riley, please give us your introduction, introduce people, let them know exactly who you are.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Madzie. I'm Riley from your favorite or not so favorite reality show. Yeah, I'm here to like kind of clear the air and defend myself. And I know it's been a while since the show has been on, but yeah, my contract is over, so now I get to talk as much as I can. There's still limits to the contract.
I mean, it's annoying because there's always limits to the contract, but the main thing is we can now finally get an inside scoop of a lot of things that we've always wanted to know. But this is where I want to start. I want to start off by letting us know. Tell us about the full experience, okay? Like the goods, the bads, and yeah, just start off the goods and the bads. And of course, as time goes on, we'll dove into other things that I know you'd want to express because the way they,
Right.
they did you just wasn't right.
Right. And when you ask that, you're asking the good, bad, and ugly about being part of the universe, that 90-day universe. All right. So the good part is the friendships that you foster from being on the show. These are people that normally you wouldn't connect with at all. And I could say that I have made some friendships that I know for a fact that are going to be lifelong friendships. And I am grateful for that because a lot of people that I've met through being on this show that I can honestly say made a difference in my life. Even if it's a self check, difference where it's like, oh, I didn't really necessarily see myself that way, but coming from another person outside looking in, sharing it in a positive and constructive criticism way, it was a good thing, and I'm grateful for the people that I've met and became friends with. The bad, obviously, we're going to get into that. It's just the way that things are handled. Their business model works for them. It's been for 10 plus years. It works for them. They know what they're doing. My issue where I find it bad is that they kind of give you a meat jacket or a meat coat and then throw you out to the hungry wolves with no way of defending yourself. And that's a bad thing because people have to realize we're regular people. Like, it's not like, let's say, Love and Hip Hop or Real Housewives, where these people are a part of the entertainment world or the sports world or whatever. They already have a level of callous on their skin when they're dealing with the public and not liking them or whatever. But they're also being compensated in a way, because we all have a price, where you're like, you know what? Give me the hate. I'm making X amount of dollars per episode or whatever a year. And that's the bad part because you have no support, no help. And the ugly is that some of these people on this show, the people that they are on the show is really who they are. And that is God honest truth. I don't get along with everybody. Everybody doesn't get along with me, and that's fine. But some of these people are just downright evil people or have evil spirits, and I just can't get with it.
I mean, listen, to be fair, I feel like that's something that's definitely not going to be a surprise to many people because I think the way I look at this, anyone who we see go on the show recurring, it's always on the show time and time again. Those are the people that can never ever say that, hey, the show is lying about who I am. But truly, if you're
Right.
choosing to be on the show all the time for like three, four, 5 seasons. And to be fair, even if it's off season, you're not on the show, but you're still on social media and you're letting yourself be known that you was a part of it. That still shows
Hmm.
character, still shows that, hey, who we've been introduced to is exactly who you are. But those people who have been on it for like one season and then said, you know what, I don't want to be a part of it. Those are the people that we
Yep.
can look at and be like, you know what, at least these people had their own dignity, and they knew when to just say, you know what, the fame, the money is just not worth it because
It's not
really and
worth it.
truly, I mean, so in terms of like your personal life, in terms of like your actual job itself in particular, how did being on TV affect your actual, real job?
Uh, it didn't go well, and it's not going well. Just to clarify, I work for the U.S. government. I have to be very vague about what I do and what agency I work for. But if you pay attention to my social media, I do let things out. Uh, I have a very respectable security clearance and all. So before I could do the show, I had to do a security review. So I did a 3-day security review, say, hey, I'm going to be on this show. This is who I'm going to see. I had to give them all of Violet's information, a picture, a copy of her passport, all types of stuff. I had to submit where I was going to stay, how long I was going to stay, who I'm going to be interacting with, so on and so forth. And my job gave me very clear instructions that, okay, we're going to let you do this show, but these are the things that we do not want to see. And this is something that I definitely shared with Sharp. I had to share. I was like, listen, I got to be very careful. I have a very I don't want to say forward facing position, but I work for a 2-star general, you know, and this is my boss is a West Point graduate, and just to give you a little clarity, West Point makes generals. that's that's their whole thing. They make generals. So I had to be very careful how I presented myself and all that. And that runs into why I was willing to hire a PI because I have to do due diligence. You don't want your employer, well, for me, where I work, you don't want them finding out something before you. It'll look very, very bad. So it's not going well. So Sunday night, the show would air. Monday night, I was in the security office explaining my actions. And it was bad. And a lot of the times, I mean, I take full responsibility for the moments that are me. You know, I shouldn't have did certain things. I have regret about certain things I've done, especially like the dinner argument and stuff like that. Um, but I had to explain myself. And then a lot of times, I want to say 95% of the times, the context was left out to make for better TV, but it hurt me professionally because it looked like I was out of control. I was making poor decisions. I was, whatever people called me, what was it called? Not needy, but like I had some issues within me. We all have issues, but I didn't have any relationship issues where I was just desperate or lonely or something. And it just didn't play right for my bosses. And at the end of the day, I embarrassed them for how I was being portrayed and no support, and I was telling Sharp Entertainment what's going on. It's like, listen, I need something, a letter, something saying that, but I got zero support, and it's still a battle. I pretty much feel I could be wrong. I'm not putting it out there to be that way, but I feel like my career is over. What I do, any sensitive role, I will never get another sensitive role with the government. But at the end of the day, I signed what I signed, and I gave them certain, like when I got upset or so on and so forth, I gave that to them, and I have to hold myself responsible for that much. But when I'm getting upset, you don't see the 6-7 hours of her nitpicking, and I'm just fed up, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword because I have to take responsibility for my actions and how I navigated my journey, but I also blame the people behind the desk because there could have been a balance. You didn't have to show 12, 13 weeks of just me being a certain way without showing what she's was doing to like aggravate me or to get under my skin. And she was very, very powerful with her words. You're less of a man, this, that, all those things she was doing in her interview that people saw, she was saying it to my face, and I just reacted the wrong way because I went there with pure intentions. I loved her, you know. I went there with really pure intentions, but they make me look like I'm childish and unstable and so on and so forth. But you know, I just didn't like it, and it hurt my livelihood because they definitely don't pay enough for me to sacrifice my livelihood. And I took the proper route when it came to getting approval to be on the show. I couldn't just be on the show, you know. I had to get approval for it.
I mean, so when it comes to what we was all exposed to, what things were really happening between you and Violet at the time that we wasn't able to actually see on the show? Obviously, you spoke about,
Okay,
there was a lot of picking at you and all that kind of stuff. So, what were those things that you wished really should have been shown but wasn't shown?
right. So if you remember in one scene where the phone call with the guy and the shirtless guy, that was real. Just didn't happen at that moment. We had to reenact that. So there was, I say to her, she says, I don't lie. And I said, oh, you don't? What about last summer with the U.S. Embassy? That was the biggest lie I caught her in. The thing is, it was during COVID. And although I had a 1 year multiple entry visa to Vietnam, the production could not get a work visa to go into the country. So it was asked of us if we would meet in another country, Canada, which is only a couple of, like 4 or 5 hour drive from me. And she could actually travel out the country and come back because she is a native of the country, of her country. Uh, we couldn't lock in Canada. And then I said, okay, I have an idea, Violet. You could come here. The borders are not closed for you to come here. So why don't, because you have to do a 2 week quarantine. That's how it was here. You had to do a 2 week quarantine. I was like, well, you're a teacher. You have the summer off. Why don't you come here and spend my birthday with me? I'm working from home because it's COVID. You have to quarantine for 2 weeks anyway. Just spend time with me. And this had nothing to do with the cameras. This is just saying, come through. And I said, listen, because I caught you in the marriage lie a few months before that she was married, still married when we were talking, even though she told me weekly she wasn't because there was something nagging in me and I kept asking. She said, okay. I said, listen, if you start the process with the immigration to get the visa, that shows me that you're serious. I will pay for everything else. I will pay for your flight. I will pay for your housing. Don't worry about anything. I just want to show me that you're serious. That's all I wanted her to do. So it was like a little fee. I forget the fee, but I wrote her a invitation letter and everything, saying I would take care of everything. Actually gave my position, at the time, which was in Philly before I got this promotion. Gave her my, the information, and I was vouching for her under my government information. Saying, hey, look, I'm not lying. She'll get on that plane and head back home. She's just coming to visit. We're spending some time together. She says, okay. The whole hoopla. She says, okay, I got my interview for the, immigration on June 19th. She goes, and I'm like, okay, I'm excited. I'm waiting. She calls me crying. And I'm like, what happened? They denied it. I'm like, oh, damn, man. All right, what did they say? Well, they said that we were lying about our relationship. Because I said, listen, we haven't met in person. We just had this big blowout about you being married, and you were still married, and you told me you weren't. I said, come here as my friend, and let's see what we could do. We could mesh together. And they was like, you're lying. Y'all are actually in a relationship, so we're denying. And I was like, whoa, what? I said, the investigator said that? Yes. I'm like, oh, no. I was like, I'm going to contact them to find out. It doesn't mean anything was going to change, but as an American, I have the right to question my government and their decisions. It doesn't mean that this is going to change, but I have the right to question. And I tried. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to contact them and ask them to give me the full definition of why you thought I was lying, because it's connected to my job at this point. A federal investigator is saying I'm lying. I could get fired, because I'm lying on official documents. She throws a hissy fit. No, you're messing it up for me. This, that, and the third. I'm like, how am I messing it up? And my intelligence clicked. And I was like, why are you fighting me asking a question so much? I said, you're lying. No, I'm not. Hang up from her. She starts, and I have the proof, and I'll send it to you. Started contacting my family on Facebook, and so on and so forth. And this is where the text messages to my father came in. So she's like just trying to, I guess, get ahead of it, like to make people think I'm crazy because I was in the army and I'd seen some crazy things. I must be nuts. And I was like, okay. Now she's doing subliminals on social media. Oh, he's this, he's that. And so I'm like, okay. So I contacted the U.S. Embassy in Vietnam, and they got back in touch with me. And they shared with me that she never applied. She didn't apply since 2017 or something like that. She never applied. She never had an appointment. And I said, I got you. You lied. So I emailed her, and I will send you that too, Maddie. I emailed her, and I was like, caught you. Got you. You lied again. And this one is a big one because now I'm panicking because I'm like, a federal investigator said I'm lying. I'm going to lose my job behind this, And that is where the big breakup happens. And I'm dealing with her the whole summer. And then she reaches out to my cousin, which I'll supply that also on Facebook. And now she's begging him to talk to me to talk to her. She messed up. She admits she had messed up. I was right or whatever, this, that, and the third. So I was like, all right, I'm going to see what you have to say. It's been like 4 months. Let me see what you have to say. She apologizes, so on and so forth. And I said, I don't know if I'll ever trust you. This is the second lie I've caught you in. And it's not even like you're a good liar. You're a horrible liar, so stop lying. So I'm speaking to her, but not like I used to. I'm speaking to her maybe once a week. I'm not speaking to her every day and so on and so forth. COVID ends, show contacts. Hey, do you want to still do the show? I'm like, I don't know. We're not in a good place. I don't even know if we're going to make it. And my friend, Lexi, who is now my girlfriend, was like, you have to do this. You have to get closure. You have to find out why. So here's the thing. I knew about the text messages to my father. I just didn't know how many. Because my father told my sister, and my sister told me and said, don't say anything. He doesn't want to aggravate you, so on and so forth. So I was like, okay. I just didn't know it was so many. And then it was also phone calls. They didn't show that. It was a lot of phone calls that he couldn't answer because he couldn't talk because he almost died, I don't want to put that video out there, but I was actually in the hospital. He was allowed one visitor a day for 20 minutes. It was like make preparation. So I was driving 2 hours upstate and back, bringing one family member a day so they could say their goodbye. And I was sitting in the room, and I'm not gonna lie, I had the video. I was like, this man is about to die right now. And I had I videotaped it. He made it. He's a stubborn Trini. He's a stubborn Trini. The man pulled through, but he couldn't speak. He had COPD and diabetes, and he had COVID. So he couldn't speak. So he's on oxygen. She's calling and texting him, and he doesn't have the energy. He's trying to reach. So that is the thing that nobody ever asked me when they watched the show. What did I mean about the embassy last summer? Because she gave me reason not to trust her and not to believe in her. But the thing is that everything happens for a reason. And I went there because one, I was like, maybe if I could just ask the why. I need to understand it. One time you made fun of me about this. You need to understand. Yes, I do. I might not agree with your reasoning for doing something, but if I could understand how you were thinking to get to the reason why you did your thing, I could accept it. I don't have to like it, but I have to accept that's your truth. I just wanted her to explain to me why. Why did you lie? Why did you do this? Why would you do this to my father? And if you really pay attention to the show, if people want to go back, I never asked her for an apology with my father. I just said, do you regret doing what you did, knowing, because she knew, knowing that this man was about to die. And when she said, no, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm done. Like, you can't even just say, I'm not asking for an apology. I'm just asking, do you regret those actions? Because that was kind of messed up. so on and so forth. So yeah, so I'm sorry, it was very long winded, but it's the truth.
No, no. Listen, you've got to speak your truth. Because I think sometimes when people do kind of speak up, people speak in like little glimpses here and there. So I think it's good for the first time to have like an actual long interview where you can really delve into a lot of things. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
just to add on to it. So here's the thing. So you spoke about your father. You spoke about obviously how she pretty much had no respect pretty much for yourself, your privacy, and also no respect for your father's well-being. And also on top of that, was even disrespectful enough to even still not want to admit she was wrong. Um, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit now. It
Mhm.
comes to the tell all. She's now saying that she's pregnant. So here's the thing.
Mhm.
She already knows that she's done wrong by consistently ringing and messaging your father and pretty much disturbing his peace. And also
Mhm.
on top of that, let's not forget you tried to get her to come to Canada or the States. Obviously that didn't work out because she didn't even do it. But at this point now,
Right.
you've obviously now traveled all the way to Vietnam, which I can't imagine how long that flight was. So you've made all these
32
efforts to
hours.
how many?
32.
Yeah, 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 jeez. This is why I always say love is the weapon of mass destruction, but nobody listens to me. But
Yeah. Yeah.
with that being said, but obviously you've now taken a 31-hour flight. God knows how many connecting flights you've had all the way to Vietnam to really go there. And one, because you want to just understand her actions, why she's doing this. And also on top of that, I can imagine a part of it also had a little bit of hope that maybe something could have been kindled. Either way, though, her
Yeah.
actions said absolutely nothing. Her actions said the opposite. So now we
Right.
fast forward. The season's now over. You've gone through the ins and outs. Well, sorry, but us viewers have now gone through the ins and outs of seeing your relationship, and throughout the whole relationship, you was deemed
Mhm.
as the bad person. You was deemed as the person that was
Yep.
desperate to go there to find out so you can overstand and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile,
Right.
she was portrayed as this. I wouldn't say necessarily as an innocent woman, but portrayed as the one that was less problematic. When in reality, there
Right.
were glimpses throughout the season where we did see her. Obviously, like for example, there's a point when you was in the shop and she makes the comment towards you. Can you remind us all about the comment that she made there? Because I know
Yeah.
what they showed us isn't exactly how it really went down. Can you just touch on that as well,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah. So we were in the shop. I always wanted. I was like, one of my things is I wanted to buy a traditional. Whenever I travel, I try to get a traditional outfit. Within that country, like I just find it to be beautiful. Like the different, you know, um, tapestries, and I just find it to be beautiful. So it's one of the things I wanted to do. So we go into the shop that her friend owns. Her friend and her husband own, and I understand a little bit of the language. And she was talking to her, and then I heard her say ugly, and I was like, wait a minute, what did you say? She said, I told her with no qualm, I told her you was old and ugly, and I sat down, and that was like all that was real time. I sat down, and I just said, let me take a moment because that was very disrespectful. And then I asked her again. I said, what did you say? And she reiterated, and I was like, I'm very upset right now. I don't want to speak because I knew my mouth and I knew what my job told me not to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and not say anything. So that scene actually went down pretty much how it went down. What didn't go down like you saw was when we walked out the shop, she gets this text message. That didn't happen. That happened during lunch. We broke for lunch. And after, like, I went and eat, and the producer came to me and said, What's wrong? You're not eating?" I was like, "No, like, I'm like so upset because there's two things in a row. Actually three, because people don't know that she was disappearing during the day. So when I landed, after saying meeting for the first time 8 times, um, she left. We got in a car, we drove to the hotel, and she left. And she was like, "Oh, I have work obligations," and I'm like, "Lady, it's the summer. You're off. I purposely came here during the summer because you were off, so we could spend as much time as possible with you." People bought it. They bought it that, "Oh, she has work. What's wrong with you? You're so wrong." I was like, "But no, she didn't. She was disappearing to see another guy that was there to visit her. I have proof of that also." And the production knew. They knew, and they were not happy with her disappearing. So just to go back to that, so it's like I just got there, and it's like little disrespectful things that were happening when I just landed in our country. I flew 8,000 miles to spend time, to meet you, spend time to see if we could find a way to work past our past problems and be together. And you have zero respect for me. And then this guy that I know of, and I was giving her the opportunity to say, who it is. I'm like, who's that? And she won't say, none of your business, and so on and so forth. So I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm so like, at what point as a man do I stand up and say, you're doing too much? Yep, I know. I saw it in. I saw it in. Hold on. Let's see here. Okay. So it was constant, not constant. At that time, it was just like it was three things back to back that just annoyed me. So I think that's the only time they showed kind of what she was doing to trigger me. I can't take liars. I just can't. I have a saying, we have it in the army here in the US, is that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. If you get caught, you ain't try hard enough. My This is what it means. It's like, if you're gonna cheat, do it well. If you get caught, you didn't do it well, and you deserve whatever you get. So my thing is that if you're gonna do these things and lie and be sneaky, do it well. Just like plan accordingly. You don't do this when cameras are following us. And I flew 8,000 miles, and I'm not a dummy. I'm not gonna just sit there and take all your nonsense. Like you could tell me whatever you want if I'm on the phone home here in Pennsylvania. But if I'm there in your face, you can't just tell me whatever you want to tell me. I'm there to see you. And in her defense, I'm not easy. I'm not an easy person. Like I'll question you, and I get it. Like I could be harsh, or it could come across harsh and like very angry, and it's not. It's just passion, and that's a New York thing. We just speak with passion, But I own that, and I have to. And that's what I learned a lot from the season is like everybody can't be wrong. If this is the thing that everybody, the bloggers and the people were coming at me with, I had to really do a check and go, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm a little too brash. Maybe I'm a little too, it seems like I'm quick to get a quick temper, but I didn't have one, but I still could have handled myself better, But this is like my first 2 days. This is the stuff that she's doing. This is the first 2 days. So I landed that afternoon. She disappears. Then they convince her to come back for dinner, right? And I give her the pearls that she hated. And and then the next day, it's the outfit. And I'm talking about how we film. So she disappears. The next day, I sit in the shop. She calls me old and ugly. And then I'm like, wow, right? And then like right after that, maybe an hour after that, I see that text message come in from that guy. And I'm just like, yo, what are you doing? What the fuck's going on? So
You spoke about triggers, and I think like when all of us viewers watch the show, sometimes what we forget to understand is that if somebody's behaving a certain way on the show, maybe it's because the person that they're with, either the person that they're doing the show with has triggered them, or two, which is something that maybe you can confirm for us here, is maybe it's also the pressure from the production team. Because I know there's been some husbands that have come out and they've said that in some situations, the reason why they have behaved the way they behaved or felt a bit edgy was because of the production team constantly trying to push certain narratives or trying to really dig at you. It's like they indirectly kind of trying to gaslight you to get the reaction, so therefore you can.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't know if you want to touch on that, please.
Yeah. So it is true. So I'm gonna tell you what a high level producer, said to me. He said, "You guys are boring." That's when she was like, "You guys are boring," because we were just trying to figure each other out, right? So we're not really, going at it or anything. We're just trying to figure each other out. It's our first time meeting in person. We were told we're boring. The second thing is that, and I called it throwing grenades into our relationship. That's what I called it. So the second thing was they didn't want us talking in between take. Like if we're filming, they didn't want us to talk or have conversations without the cameras on. So they would purposely separate us or get in between us one of the cameramans was talking to me about baseball. I'm like, I don't even watch baseball like that. Like just, and that's the joke. Hey, how about them Yankees? And that's the joke here. So that's another thing because they didn't want. I want to say they didn't want to miss anything, which is fair. It's fair. It's a show, but they also didn't want you having these deep conversations and coming to reconciling without them involved. So they need the 14 weeks or 14 days. They need to get, their footage, and if we make up when they're not around, you know what I mean? Or in between them shooting, that's it. And then the next thing is what I realized afterwards. This is something Violet told me, and she's a liar, very bad liar, but I believe this. They were telling her certain things to do and not do. And they, so it was two people embedded with us. One is called the fixer. That's the person that'll get you into like certain stores if you want to film into a store or you want to go to a certain location. They'll get the okay so you can get the permit. And then because I was there, and obviously the government is going to do their due diligence on me, they had a government official embedded with us to watch me. So people got to realize that this is a communist or socialist country, whatever you want to call, but they fly the Russian flag next to their flag. And you got this American guy that was the army guy, and he works for who he works for, the organization he works for. They had a government official embedded with us. Cool guy, but his job was to watch me. So you have these two people in her ear, plus whatever production was saying to her. And it created tension between us because I didn't allow that to happen. They would try to, they're instigating, like, damn, that's messed up what she said, right? I'm like, I'm not falling for this shit, bro. Like, I get it. There was some things her mother asked me that was like really off the world that nobody saw, and they tried to get me into the racial kind of conversation about it. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Her mother is 70-something years old, and all she knows is her country. The last black person she saw, a black American person she saw, was during the war that we lost. No, I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to talk down about this woman, So, yeah, they do throw monkey wrenches and grenades into your relationship. But I'm not even going to say in their defense, but I get why. It's just, I'm the type of person, just tell me what you need and I'm going to get you there, right? Let's have a balance because you see what she's doing. I got to a point where I was tired of arguing. I was just like, I want to go home at this point. I just want to go home. But they did what they had to do to get the footage they need to get. And I'm the sucker for going along with it. Hindsight is 2020.
It's kind of crazy because you spoke about how they were trying to push a potential racial kind of storyline between you, Violet, and her mother, right? And it's quite interesting because throughout the seasons that Night they've had, there's been times when some cast members have given us vibes of racism or they've even done things that even indicate that, but haven't necessarily been removed from the show. Some people have been removed from the show, but then some people haven't been moved to the show. So it is quite interesting though, because what you're saying kind of proves that there's a part of Sharp or TLC, whatever, who they actually don't even care about the racist part because you got to think about it. If they had ran with the storyline of Violet's mom potentially being racist or whatnot, technically speaking, us, the audience now, we would have watched that stuff and we would have been like, well, she needs to be removed right now. Do you see what I'm saying? So, interesting enough, though, if they had actually if you had actually agreed to go with that storyline, it would have been interesting to see how they would have handled the public's reaction to seeing, obviously her. But at the same time, though, I respect and I like the fact that obviously you said, no, I'm not running with that. One, you understood that this is a woman that was at this age, for one, and two, you also understood the location you was in, and you also understood that, hey, history shows that her experiences around blackface is probably next to none. This is the thing. So it does make sense why. And to be fair, I would have said that if anything, portraying that storyline probably would have done. It probably would have ruined it for people like not necessarily me, but people like me that like to travel. Right, for example, I would have watched it. And I'd have been like, wow. So if I go to Vietnam, would this happen to me? But luckily, luckily enough, though, I've got a friend though that did actually go to Vietnam, and he told me about his experiences as a black person. It was quite interesting. But either way, though, I respect your choice.
Crazy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that that there's not a little wild there. I had people come up to me on the street and just touch my skin. That was nuts to me. I'm 6'4", and at the time 290 pounds. I had a grown man come up to me and want to take a picture with me because they got the cameras around. They don't know who I am, but oh, he must be a celebrity from America, and he wanted me to pick him up and take a picture with him, like pick him up like a baby. All right, I did it because honestly, I thought it was hilarious. But I was a spectacle, right? And rightfully, and I get it, and I definitely got it. So I never thought that it was racially charged. It was just I was different, right? What I didn't want to happen, and this is why I had an issue with her saying old and ugly, is because a lot of the times for Black people in other countries, we consider ugly, right? And if you saying that, and I'm not defending myself, or if I'm not telling you that this is the connotation, I'm in this country. I am the only one. I've been here 3 days now. I am the only one like me here. They're already staring at me. It doesn't help that the woman that I'm supposed to be in a relationship with is saying this about me. And that was my point, what I was trying to put across. But a lot of people, bloggers and whatnot, they was like, "Oh, you're pulling the racial card. You're just an effed up person. You're pulling." I'm like, I'm not. I'm not trying to pull a racial card. I'm just explaining to her so she can understand how I feel because I feel weird there, right? I'm the only one of me there, and I feel weird. Now, as time went on, I saw a couple of. I only met two other, one Black family, but they were French Black, right? And then I met one lady and it was crazy because we looked at each other like, America? And she was like, oh my God, Missouri. And I'm like, New York. And we like hugged each other like we knew each other. And Violet's like, y'all know each other? Like, no, it's just, we don't see people like a Black, we don't see people like us, here, so it was refreshing to see one of us here. So
No,
yeah,
no,
it's like kind of, it's hurtful, but
yeah, no, no, I completely get it. I mean, listen, when I've been on my travels, I've come across, obviously other Black people in locations that predominantly everyone else but us. You know what I mean? And
hmm
when we see each other, we're like, "Hey, what else got?" It's like when I was in Iceland, I saw like one Black family there, and they were actually American. Funny enough, they're like, "Hey, man,
Wow.
how you doing, man?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm from the UK." Da, 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 da. So I know exactly
Right, right,
what
right.
you're talking about. And to be fair, I will say that just to add on top of that, I feel like nowadays, especially within the Black anyway, some of the things that we are now losing is our connection to just say hi to each other, like each other. And
Mhm.
I feel like when we do come across each other in area, I think it's very key now that ever for us to just be like, hey, how you doing? Just for the sake of it, because I feel like it's
Yeah,
something that's definitely going to help us save most of our mental health as well. And mental health is something
yeah,
else that I want to touch on. So,
yeah.
because obviously you was on the show and whatnot, how throughout the season and even after the season, how was your mental health affected? Obviously because of obviously how they betrayed you and also how they put your line of work in jeopardy and other things that involved you personally.
Right. So, I was in a real dark place. I mean, like, I'm not just saying that, and I haven't shared this with anyone on social media. If people really follow me, I've tried to stay as light and positive, as fun as possible. Um, but I was in a very dark place during the season, to a point where I contemplated self harm. I did, I was very depressed. My anxiety was up, and it was because there was no off button. I had no control, and there was no off button. So you figure, Sunday night, I stopped watching the show, right? Because we don't see it until everybody else sees it. So we don't know what they're going to edit and how it's going to look. Um, I would not watch it. Sunday morning, wake up, like everybody else, you go on social media or whatever. I'll see the hate. So that's what allowed me to know what was shown the night before, like what was on the show, is because the hate that was directed towards me. So I'm waking up to hate. I go to work and then I got to answer to what was shown the night before in the security review office, who hold my my livelihood in their hands for the most part, right? And then I come home and it was home because I was dealing. People don't know is like Lexi and I, because it was so long ago. We filmed over a year ago. So when y'all are seeing it, it's over a year old, right? Lexi and I started dating, and she's not handling it well, right? Because I got to hide her, and she's not handling it because I'm depressed. and in this dark place. She can't help me. She's going through whatever she's going through. Like her aunt just passed away. Her uncle just had brain surgery. It was like a lot. And so she was like, rightfully so, not attacking. What's the word? She was just like, she was in her own space. So we weren't clicking as a couple. I couldn't share her to the world because of my contractual obligations. So I had no escape from it. So I got it at home. I got it at work. I go on social media just to like watch some funny videos or like my thing is like construction videos. I like to kind of watch construction, how they build a wall and do all these things. And there was no escape because I open up my phone. Hey, I go to work. I got to answer to it. You know, I got to come home. The woman that I fell in love with during some of the darkest times of her life, I we're going at it, and it's like it's no escape. So I was like, why am I here? You know, what is the point? Like, I made it through deployment. I made it through, losing a whole bunch of friends in the army and people in my life, personally, people in my life, right? And I'm just like, I can't handle this. You know what I mean? And so it was a really bad part of my life in this experience with them. And that's why I have such an issue with Sharp is because they're not understanding that we're like what they do. They don't care. We're regular people. So my show aired on June 8th of last year. On June 7th, I was a regular guy that nobody knew. They just saw some videos of a trailer or some pictures on their website. And then June 8th, I'm known, right? There was no, any job that you get, they have onboarding, right? They have orientation. There was none of that at all, right? So we're left to fend for ourselves. People, you get cast members once they show who you are, they'll say, hey, welcome to the family or whatever, this, that, and the third. There's ignore the haters. No, I'm a human being. We're all human beings. It's very difficult to ignore the haters if you have a decent soul because it'll touch you. It'll hurt, especially when you have pure intentions or it was misrepresented what you did or you didn't do or whatever. And there was no escape from it. And they didn't even provide a counselor during the season, like some kind of mental health counselor or something during the season. No onboarding, no orientation. Hey, get a mentorship program with a past cast member and just to kind of somebody to talk to that's been through it or something like that. Nothing. They just throw you out there and say, good luck, everybody else. We're going to make our millions. Good luck. That's insane, and I was in a bad place. I really was I had a plan. I really did have a plan. And I honestly don't know what brought me out of it. I really don't. I think it was the tell-all, like not the tell-all, but like I had to film the tell-all, and they were selling it as this is your opportunity to explain yourself, to defend yourself. We're not going to edit the same way we do this season. And I was like, well, this is my moment to get people to understand that I'm not this horrible person. I'm not perfect, but I'm not that person, And I think that's what gave me strength. And then they did some fuckery with the tell-all, and that's why I don't believe I really am under contract because they breached the contract. But that's another story. I'll go into it.
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, for me personally, I'd say, without knowing what you're telling me right now, I would say that when it came to the tell-all, I feel like you did a very, very good job because I feel like a tell-all is kind of a point where some cast members actually get a chance to kind of redeem themselves a little bit. It depends on the cast member because there's some of them that have a lot of opinions and we're just sitting there thinking, yeah, we saw your shiz throughout the season. You don't be saying anything. But I feel like the way you conduct yourself throughout the tell-all was in a way where you your mannerism was like, listen, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just gonna say my opinions politely, respectfully, but also at the same time, I'm also gonna be accountable for my own actions, and I'll leave it there. There are some people that they go in the tell all now, and they'll just be fully judging,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
taking no accountability for their own actions. You see what I'm saying? So I'd
right,
say if we're comparing how you was portrayed throughout the season compared to how you was in the tell all, I've said the tell all personally, it did a great job based on what we saw anyway. But I can imagine you wish they had obviously showed other things as well and not
yeah.
treated things in a certain
Oh
way.
yeah, I explained a lot. I explained a lot more than they showed. I explained the whole middle finger thing. I explained the touching each other first thing. I explained why I don't say I love you. like I explained it, like they actually caught that, and obviously it's time. They don't have time to show all of that, right? But it broke my heart because those are the three things that I really wanted, like I would really wanted the audience to see and to understand about me. I didn't come up with the middle finger thing. That was her. You know, I didn't. I didn't. Why I don't say I love you is because not because somebody leaves me, a girlfriend leaves me. It's because the last time I said I love you to somebody, the next day they were gone. It was my mom. And I found her dead. Right. So it's just like it was reasons behind. I'm very superstitious where, and it has happened before. And I have done lives where I played the audio message from my cousin who passed away in my house the day before his birthday. The last message he sent me, he says, I love you. So I'm very superstitious in that regard that I just don't, I don't like to say it because I'm scared I'm going to lose the person. So when I said they're going to leave me, it meant like they're going to leave this earth, they're going to leave me, and I'm not going to have them anymore. It's a selfish way of thinking. I get it, but I feel like if I say it to someone, it's usually attached to I'm going to lose them, and that's why I didn't say it for a very long time. And I explained that not only in the beginning of the, when they were doing my interviews in the beginning of the season, but I explained it in the tell-all, and they didn't share that. And I thought those were a couple of things that I was like, it's very important to touching each other first. That was violence. That wasn't me. I'm not a child. Why would I? I'm gonna fly 8,000 miles of like whoever touches each other first is gonna be the boss. Come on.
No, no,
Like what is that?
I completely get it, and I feel like when it comes to sharp entertainment, anyway, not even just TV as a whole, really and truly, they are going to show things that they feel like is beneficial for their network, isn't it? Not things that are beneficial for yourself. Because I think before we even spoke about how you was hoping at the time that they would at least show you in your studio, because at the time, obviously, you had a studio going on. And for the people who don't know, obviously, right now you have got a studio open up. Obviously, you got your cigar lounge coming up, haven't you now? So I don't know if you want to plug that real quick before we continue. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You disappeared.
Yeah, so I'll get into it. So one of the reasons why I went on the show, we all have a reason of going on the show. There's nobody that going on the show is like, I just want to share my love life with the world. No, it doesn't matter if the money is the motivation, which is not much at all, or if it's like, I like to be a celebrity, or they have a business. There's a reason for going on the show. My reasoning was that Violet and I would have a head start because of the exposure and notoriety. We would have a head start because she wanted to have a coffee shop, and a coffee shop and a bakery. And at the time, I had the studio, but I was thinking about the cigar lounge. They would not come into the studio and film at all. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do? Like it's like this is the whole point of me, like allowing my idiotic self to open the world to my relationship in my life. This is part of the point of doing the show, and I was like, okay. And then they came back. The network came back and said, we like the cigar thing. And I was like, well, I'm in school. People didn't know this. They didn't. So I'm in school to get my certification as a cigar sommelier, right? These are things I was doing anyway, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? I wanted to start a cigar business. I'll start one now. Why not? Right? And that's how my cigar behavior business came about. And yeah, they were not trying to go into this. And I was like, I couldn't understand for the life of me. I was like, why would they come in here? They straight up told me, we're not going in there. And then I realized it is the 90-day fiance starter pack. It's part of the starter pack. Everybody wants to be a singer or something like that. And I was like, well, I'm not a rapper or a singer. I was like, I'm an engineer. I have an audio video studio. I have equipment. Like I had to bring it into here because I had to close down. But I was just like, but I get it. They don't want to keep having the same kind of vibe in that sense every year. Oh boy, another rapper. Oh boy, another singer.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but the thing is, though, you was just showing off your studio, right? You know what I mean? It wasn't the fact that you were showing off that you was going to be an artist. And let's be real, like,
right.
There's been in the past where they've actually showed off other people, like whether it be a Jabri or the guy who was with a girl from Finland called Jasmine, I forgot his name, but these guys who they actually showed them going out and actually performing in clubs in places, and then others have actually, you know what I mean? So I understand it, but I don't believe that the vibe that you was, it wasn't
I
the
don't know.
same.
I I had to come up with something to make me okay with it. That's why I was like, yeah, it got to be this. I don't know. I really don't know. It kind of threw me off, but I pivot, and I started my cigar business before I was ready to start it, and it would have definitely did well during the season if I didn't get into that dark place, and it didn't matter anymore. I was like, well, people hate me, you know, for no reason. I mean, sometimes they had a reason. I'm not gonna say and act like I was an angel or some shit. I did some fucked up shit, had a regret, but it is what it is. I wish I would have handled it differently, but I couldn't. I had to go through it, But it also brought me to this point where I'm advocating for change. You know, like this shit is ridiculous how they do things, and it's not fair and it's not right.
I know, I completely agree. Let's just pivot real quick. Let's talk about
Mhm.
the introduction between you and Kimberly. So obviously, when you two became on social media, everybody was like, Kimberly Riley, it must be a thing. Da da da
Yeah,
da da da. But then,
yeah,
of course,
yeah,
you decided to take your own action. Like, was there
yeah.
was there a point when, because of the media, whether it be myself or Instagram, because some of us were like saying that these two must be a thing, was this ever a plan for it to be a thing on the show that you and Kimberly go on it? Because obviously you were both together on the Pillow Talk. Was there ever a
hmm
direction of you actually coming back on the show with Kimberly or anything like that?
It was a discussion. I had certain rules. I was like, look, I'm okay with doing this. We could play this angle if this is what the network wants, but I have to end up with Lexi. That was my whole thing. Like as long as I ended up with Lexi, that's what mattered to me. Uh, they, meaning the people behind the desk, they didn't play well. I already went through the burner through them with them, right? I already went through the burner with them, so I had rules of engagement for me. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna do it your way anymore. I need to feel comfortable and it has to make sense. And when I realized that I felt, let me put it this way, 'cause I have no proof. I felt that they were still manipulating shit to do it the way they wanted to. That's when I released the video, the pictures of Lexi and I. Because I was like, well, y'all are not listening to me. You're not hearing what I need to feel comfortable and to move forward with this idea. So I'm gonna just shit on it and make it go away because I'm gonna make it so that it can't happen. So I released Lexi and I'm like, I'm in a relationship and Kim knew about it. What? you know, and but I get it. It's TV, and that's what I used to say in my lives. I was like, if you see me coming back for a second season, just know it's business. It's not me trying to get clout or starting to stay relevant. It's like it was straight up a business move because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I can't put the blame on you. Fool me three times, fuck the peace sign, load the chopper, let it rain on you. So you're not fooling me again. It's not happening again. So now, if you want to navigate how we converse and how we interact as a business, oh, you can't do that, Riley. You're NDA, Riley. Okay, so now anything after this is business. So I want my fair share. I want to be when I realized that it wasn't going to go in that direction. Okay, let me shit on this. Let me just ruin it, and that's what I did.
So
And they
when
didn't like it at all.
when you talk about a business, what was it that you was wanting from Carbon Entertainment for you to actually still be on the show again?
Right. So I knew for a fact that if I would have did another relationship show, not Pillow Talk, but a relationship show with them, I would have definitely been released from my position. There's no way around it. So for me to take that kind of chance, which I was willing to, because we all have a price, I needed to be compensated in a way that made sense for me to take that chance. What's in it for me, right? There's no residual income from this. People think that, and every time it shows, we're not actors. Every time it shows, we don't get a check. It's what we get for that moment, for that episode. So my thing was, all right, so this is how much I make a month. And when I'm on this kind of show, this is going to be that tax. This is what I'm going to like mentally. I remember exactly what I went through and how dark I was, and this and that. I say, so this to me, because I'm in a different place, I'm stronger now because I understand how they do things, right? This is what it's worth to me per week to deal with your nonsense because I have no control over editing, I have no control over marketing, I have no control of that. But the only thing I do have control of, if you're going to see me argue on camera again, and how much I get paid. So I realized that based on their business model, they could not afford me. And so, because the number I was going to ask for was ridiculous based on their business model, not based on Real Housewives or House of Villains or something like that, which is like I heard 25K per episode. House of Villains. You understand what I'm saying? It's a Netflix show. Housewives is way. I think they're starting at 35. That's the rumor in the amongst the cast members and other reality stars. It's like 35, and we were beating them every week in the ratings. So you think I'm going to do another show for $1,500? That 5% hike they're doing? No, no, no. I'm more like $8,000-9,000, and I'm being conservative. But it has to be worth my doing. You're going to show my cigar lounge. You're going to show my product, logo. You're going to do these things because they have to be worth it to me, because you're going to do whatever you want. And people could, and there's some sick people out there. I had one guy actually come to my face and like, yo, you ain't shit, calling me all types of bitch and all that. And I punched him in his fucking mouth because people think this reality show shit is a joke. Like, we are real people, and I have a whole life outside of this TV BS. You might be seeing me at my weakest moment or something like that, but that doesn't mean I'm a punk. So anyway, my whole point is that I have to live with this, not you. So it has to be worth it. Well, if I could make enough money where I could open up my business and I have a little stash and I'm okay, or I could do other businesses where I could take care of myself because I don't have to work for anybody anymore, that's what I need to have in order to move forward with it. But I knew it wasn't going to happen because what I was asking for based on their business model was unreasonable. I mean, they never came to me. They came to me a few times. They brought it up. Oh, you want to do single life? Oh, you want to do pillow talk with Tiffany? I was like, no. They thought I was joking. Like, no, because you're not going to give me what I think I deserve, what I feel I deserve. And then now you're labeled as hard to work with. You're labeled as confrontational. Why? Because you did what the fuck you wanted, and now I'm saying no. Well, I don't want to fuck with you. So anyway, that's my rant on that.
No, I completely get it. I completely get it. At the end of the day, in this life, we all have to understand what our worth is. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like someone like myself who's also been through a dark time as well. I feel like to come out of the dark time, one of the things that I had to start thinking about is my purpose of being alive, and also most important, what's my worth? You know what I mean? And the moment that you understand our worth is the moment that we start to have a lower tolerance to BS. It's the moment that we start to understand how we're going to value our time and who we're going to give our time to, and also most importantly who we're actually going to work for, because really and truly
Right.
we don't want our value to feel like it's nothing. Do you see what I'm saying? So I
Right.
definitely respect
Right.
you making the choices that you needed to make. And to be fair with you, it kind of highlights how there are some other customers who we are all still seeing on a repeated level, who I can now look at, and I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching it now can be like, you know what, maybe these people here don't even know their worth, because there were some people that have been on the show season after season, but no matter how many seasons they're on there, they're still being portrayed in ways that make them look like, for example, Natalie, somebody that's been on the single life for about three seasons, I think, and she's been portrayed exactly the same back to back, back to back to back. So much that she ended up DMing me, asking me to, well, not asking, but basically saying, "Hey, I'm not this person," blah 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 blah, da 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 da. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, though, you have chosen your worth to be on the show consistently, and you know what they're
Right.
going to do. So at the end of the day, if that's your choice, that's not really my problem. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right. You gave them the ammo to feel that way because you keep coming back and allowing it. Now, we're talking about a person like Natalie who wants to be in entertainment, right? That is her main goal, is to be in entertainment. This is exposure for her, and she's looking at it as a business move, and she makes whatever she makes per episode. I don't know. Well, obviously, it's not going to be $1,000 per episode, but you figure that, is it working? Like, what have you done? There's not one person from the 90 Day universe that has went mainstream entertainment. Not one. How is that possible? 11 years of this thing existing. How is it possible that not one person has made it to mainstream? Because it's not designed to make stars. It's not designed to, the way they have things, it's designed to be predatory and get your story, to do what you want, to make your millions, and then whatever you wanted from it, hopefully you could get from it. There are cast members that just like being recognized.
yeah,
They like being on TV.
but you know what?
You know?
Hold that thought though regarding the can't say the blood word. Predatory. That's the one. Yeah.
Uh,
Just hold that thought for a second now. So yeah. So in terms of it being predatory, explain.
mhm.
Obviously your thoughts on it. Obviously, what do you mean by them being predatory?
Okay, so again, as much as I don't want to defend Sharp and TLC, I have to say this: we sign it. We have to take accountability because we sign it. I don't know if people are like me, other customers like me. I didn't sign it right away. I read it and I weighed the pro and cons of it. That the contract, which I was thinking about releasing, but I've been in touch with SAG, and we'll have a couple of meetings with SAG about unionizing reality shows like with Bethany Frankel, and they have offered to connect me with legal representation for this, because so I was advised not to release the contract, but to use this opportunity to try to have a conversation with them, with a mediator, meaning Sharp and TLC, with a mediator, to come to a conclusion, because I don't want anything from it. I don't want money or anything. I make money. What it's about is about changing the practices of the way that things are done, so that people in the future that decide to go into the show are not taken full advantage of. Within that contract, without citing any paragraphs or anything, you cannot. You're getting. I'm gonna be honest. I get $1,000. We were getting like first season cast members, $1,000 per episode, right? That is one. Two, the way the contract is written is very convoluted, right? It's not very easy to understand. It's very double talkish, and that's fair. But it is designed in a way where they have all the power, you have nothing. So they have the right to option you. You don't have the right to turn down the option. They can option you up to 5 years. So you get your first year, right? And then they have 5 more times that they can option you. So 6 years they can lock you in. You have to get everything approved from them. Your podcast, if you want to do an internet, let's say you want to do a national commercial, somebody say, hey, we like your shit, we want to do a national commercial. You have to get that approved. You have to get approved any other reality show that you want to be on. Let's say Survivor came to you and say, hey, we would love to have a reality show, Survivor. You have to get it approved. And they most likely, 9 times out of 10, will say no, right? People like cast members were surprised that they approved my podcast. And I was like, well, because I told them straight up. And I think because they dealt with me for so long and they realized that I say what I mean and I mean what I say, I'm not going to talk about you like that. Like, I'm going to talk about my experiences, but I'm not going to talk about you. Well, you can't have any cast members on. I have no intention to have a cast members on. Like, it's about my journey or whatever, or my cigars or my, things, social things that I would like to speak on. So it's predatory in the sense that you have no recourse the moment you sign it. There's no out. There's no support. For example, I was getting upset, obviously, with the editing and all that, and it was sometimes, and I apologize to you about this, that I was coming at you in your comments of your videos on me, and it was wrong, and I see that now, but I was in my feelings. I'm gonna keep it 100. I was in my feelings. I was feeling away, and I was like, how can this black dude not see what they're doing? That's how I felt, right? That's how I felt. But that doesn't give me the right to do what I do and said what I said. And I extremely am. I'm sincerely apologize to you for that, because it was uncalled for, because you were doing your job, right? And I was just in my feelings. But they never called me when I was telling them I was going through what I was going through with my job and I'm spiraling mentally and everything. They never called me. The only time they would call me is when I would go live, and then I would say shit I wasn't supposed to say. And I purposely did that. I would do that purposely to get them to call me, to tell me to stop. So that shows you that they don't give a fuck about you or your mental health. They care about their product. Fine, you care about your product, but it's very predatory in the sense that, you get people that, let's say, $1,000 a week is the most money some people ever seen, right? What they were paying in a month for me in my season, what they paid in a month, I make that in a week. And I'm not bragging, that's true, right? That's who I am, right? I worked very hard to get to the level I am with my professional career. And so there's no way where you're protected. So the only way that like whenever you hear like a cast member like beefing and moaning about the edit and all that, usually if they beef and moan on hard enough, that means that they're telling the truth, that the shit is one-sided, it's not fair. But the only way we could defend ourselves is with the truth. The contract is written in a way where if you tell the truth, it's against the NDA. You breach the contract. You see what I'm saying? That's predatory because you get a layperson that doesn't know. They just read in contract. They're looking for how long am I going to be with you? How much are you going to pay me? What do I need to do? They're not going to look at necessarily paragraph 12, sections A and B, like I would. I'm not going to say what's in those sections, but that I read them and I understand them. And the predatory part of it is like they even can use your likeness for shows they didn't create yet, and you don't get anything. You understand what I'm saying? You get nothing. They haven't created the show yet. They'll create the show. They could create a show that the missing footage, right? And then they could show all this other shit as a show. Every week is an episode showing this missing footage, and we won't get paid for it. Predatory, right? There's no residuals. Okay, which is all right, but it's predatory, right? That's a predatory thing, and it's disgusting because it doesn't need to be that way. You can still make your money and do the right thing, and they choose not to because they don't have to, right? Just because you can run in, there's no law saying you can't run with scissors doesn't mean you should. Just because you can fuck over people and say, I don't give a shit about you and make them feel expendable with no kind of power doesn't mean you should. And that's where it's predatory. And we sign it. We're dummies. We sign it. Somebody asked me then why'd you sign the contract? And my response was, because I'm a dummy. I thought, no way in the world a first season cast member thought it would be this extreme how they would edit and do things and make you become vilified and everything. Nobody. No way. Well, you could go online and Google it. That's not the same. I'm not going to lie. Before I did the show, I really thought that, let's say, a Bilal was really that way, just like everybody else. The difference is I'm not going to seek him out on social media to say nasty things to him. That type of person is not well in their head, but, in my opinion. But, I mean, I really believed it. And that's why I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to publicly talk down to about any cast member, whether I like them or not, personally, because I know how things are done. There is no way in the world I could sit here and watch a show that I was on objectively and say, this is really what it is after what I've been through. So I won't do it. Now, I'm out of contract. Now I'm willing to talk shit about cast members, and especially one particular one because they're pieces of shit, in my opinion.
Well,
anyway, let's not go into that. I'm sorry. I know you want to wait to get into that.
No. I was actually going to touch on that right now because for me, when I have conversations, I wait until something is said that then can be linked to it. If you see what I'm saying. But let's talk about that because obviously you spoke about obviously in the past not wanting to say anything against cast members, blah blah blah. But recently, we've had obviously Debbie who was coming into your comment section. I believe it was your comment section. And bringing her business to your session. I feel like there's a big difference with somebody having their own issue going on and keeping it to themselves compared to somebody having things going on but then bringing it to your platform when really and truly they have no need for that. So if you could please, obviously speak about obviously how you feel about customers coming into your platform with negative energy when you're trying to, because you already said earlier on in this video that when you're online, you try and show positive energy despite what they be going through. But then you got this one here coming in now, and now bringing in this negative stuff. Please let us know how you feel about all that.
So I obviously take issue with it because at that time she was the second cast member, and I was giving her the benefit of the doubt. She could have been in her feelings like I'd been in there and thought about it and said, yo, this guy just put up a funny video and I'm saying this negative stuff, under his funny video that he meant for the fans to enjoy and have a good laugh about 18-part tell-alls and shit. And she didn't take it down. So I was like, well, my whole thing was like, if you feel comfortable publicly bashing another cast member for whatever your reasons are, I don't know, I'm not in your business, on my platform, I have the right now to address you publicly. I don't like that. I don't like it. I would rather you come into the DMs or you reach out to me, phone call and all that, and just say, hey, this is the problem I'm having with this association or whatever. And I'll listen, right? And I'll listen with respect and objectively. Y'all, I'm sorry, y'all, because Ruben is he's riled up about this. He's talking because he came to help me with my my cigar lounge because of my back and all. But anyway, My issue, and it was all right. She deleted it, and I left it alone. Where I started not to like her and care for her is when she did that video, and that video was obviously a shot to me, at me, when she was like, because I said I stay neutral. I don't want no problems. I don't want to be a part of this nonsense anymore. I'm trying to just ride out my time to get out of my contract. And she made this, well, when you sit there and you stay neutral, you blah, 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 the oppressor. And then my biggest issue is like using Desmond Tutu's sayings. And I was just like, what do you, and I still didn't say anything. I still didn't say anything. What made me unfollow her and her son and stop associating with them completely, meaning in social media world, not because real life, I never associated with her, was that when she did this last thing about Ruben, stalking her and making fake accounts. And Ruben was with me. Ruben has been busting his ass helping me. Like he has, I mean, from what I could see, he had no time or interest. He never brought her up with the whole time he's been here staying at my house. He has never brought her up and, up until that point. And I saw the hurt on his face when somebody sent that to him, and he showed it to me. I saw the hurt on his face, like, yo, I'm not even fucking with this lady. It's not me. I'm trying to move on and rebuild my reputation because I lost my job behind this and so on and so forth. And that bothered me.
So before you continue, just to clarify, so Ruben's been with you for the last couple of days. How long would you say he's been with you now?
He's been here a week. Ruben has been here a week helping me out.
Okay.
Because I have
wait. So hold on. Let me just land this point real quick. Normally I let you land, but let me just land this point.
Okay, go.
He's been with you for the past week, and Debbie only came out a few days ago claiming that Ruben had been making fake accounts and harassing her. Now, obviously, just to clarify, since you've been with him, haven't seen this man go to his phone, even speak about her, even have the energy, even actually write anything about her, let alone make fake accounts. And also, like you said, you've currently got a sore back, and because of that, he's currently helping you. So that means right now, being very productive with helping you. So therefore, if there's been any chance of him even having the energy, even want to harass Debbie, he'd be doing it in his sleep, basically. Do you see what I'm saying? Which basically says
that's how I read it.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to put that out there for anybody watching that, hey, how can somebody be doing these things that Debbie claims he should be doing if right now he's got an alibi of being around not just Riley, but I can also assume Lexi's there too, and maybe anyone else is talking to you, and nobody has witnessed this man sit there on his phone during productive hours going, okay, where's Debbie? Okay, let me fake this account.
Right.
Hey, you. That hasn't happened.
Exactly. And that's where I took issue. I was like, well, why? And then when the lady came out and said, no, it's me, she doubled down. Like Deborah doubled down. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't even be magnanimous and just say, all right, you know what? Let me delete this. You ain't got to say I'm sorry. Just delete it because it's not true. You doubled down. And that's where I'm like, you're the bully. You're the stalker. You're the problem. It's not him. And her core fan, we all have our core fans. You have them. I have them. We all have our core fans. They're going to back us up, no matter what. And I get that. And that's, and I got to respect that. But how in the world can you believe that every single person that says something negative about you on social media, when you're on this show with 6 to 10 million viewers a week, has to be this one person? That is absolutely insane. That's like every negative comment I've gotten. If I sat there and say, hey, Violet, stop creating these fake accounts. Like, come on. At what point do you go, you know what, man, I might be going too far? And that's the problem I have, with her. And her son is just as bad because her son, being in law enforcement, knows how this could be. It's a such thing called defamation, and it's a such thing that she could be sued. She can be sued. Doesn't mean that the suit is going to go, like, he'll win or anything. But the point is that once the seed is planted, it could go any way. Why would you want that kind of publicity? Why are you doing it? So I'm not sitting here saying that Ruben hasn't done it. I don't know. I don't believe he has ever in the past. I don't believe it. But I also do not believe this particular instance right now, because I have he's been with me and I've seen how hard he's worked. And then the proof came out that it wasn't him. I don't see how you could still find the energy and the gall and an audacity to sit there and say that every negative comment that comes to you after being on this show, being a hypocrite with your words, being a bully, because you are, keep my name out your mouth, but then and you got a problem with us. Listen, anyway, how can you possibly be okay with what you're doing? And I'm looking right into the camera because I'm dead ass serious. Don't take kindness for weakness, Miss Debbie. I know a lot more about you and your son. I know about lawsuits and discrimination lawsuits. I know a lot more. You know, I'm not threatening you. What I'm saying is that it's not right. We all have a past. We all have our moments, and it's okay to be fallible. But to sit there and keep on with this guy with this narrative, knowing damn well these people are coming forward and saying, no, it's me. I'm a real person. And you're still doing it. They just don't like you, Miss Debbie. They just like there's people out there that just don't like me. I'm doing this interview with you, and there's still going to be somebody in the comments saying, well, fuck that dude. I know it is. Right? And that's fine. That doesn't mean that it's the person, your nemesis, always coming after you. And you need to do a self-check. You really do. And I don't like it. But that's all I'm going to say publicly about it. But I mean it. You need real help, and your son needs to step up and be a man. And know it's his mom, and he's going to stick by his mom. But you got to check her because she's really going down a path where this man is actually, he's going to have enough to sue you for defamation. And defamation, harassment, and it's gonna go there, and you're not understanding that. You think that you're untouchable, and narcissists are either the hero or the victim. They're never the reason. I just want to say that. I don't know this woman personally, just from what she's doing. I don't like it. I unfollowed her. I removed her as a follower. Same with her son, because I cannot enjoin mediocrity. I can't do it. It's wrong. And you need to stop. Let the man go. Now, on the other side, the man is really doing this shit.
That's the whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another monster. I don't know what he's doing when he ain't here, but I just know when he was here and then that lady coming forward, it's not him. And you need to stop. You need to stop, and you need to just do what you need to do legally to rectify the situation. I also know, Miss Debbie, you didn't do a police report. I just want to let you know. I have access to a lot of shit.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's something that has already been spoken about. I mean, I think it's something that I mentioned in the video. And obviously, Ruben contacted me with more evidence to say that there hasn't been any police report. That's another video that will be made.
Yeah.
Asian, amongst other things that have also gone down in comment section, quite threatening to Ruben's life.
Yeah, it needs to stop. And I know. When me saying this shit, and once they show, I know her followers are going to come and get at me, and that's fine. That's fine. If you want to be blind to the fact that this woman is going too far with this, she has every right to defend herself if it's true, right? But when it's proof that was given that these particular moments that you're speaking of are not true, you need to retract or just take it down and leave it alone. You don't double down. And that is a straight up narcissist, doubling down to prove to the world that you're not wrong, that you're the victim, instead of just saying, fucked up, I stepped on my dick. Let me just let me clear this up. That's how investigations go away, Deborah.
No, of course, 100%.
When you admit your faults.
No, I agree. I mean, to be fair, I just want to also add as well before from the topic that I remember from the season that we saw of Debbie and Ruben. Debbie took a trip to Ruben's house at his parents. Knows exactly, all the things that he's doing right now to make sure that after he, I mean, and it's crazy because in the episode, she looked as if she was like so sincere and so like, oh my god, this guy's actually a really nice person, blah blah blah. But in reality, she could give a damn. I mean, to be honest with you, it's kind of a little bit like Violet a little bit. Violet was still, obviously just trying to make contact with your father, given the fact that he wasn't in the best of places to stand. And now you've got Miss Debbie here trying to cause a havoc towards Ruben at a time when he needs to be there for his parents more than anybody else.
And a lot of people, he probably hasn't really said that his mother passed away. His mother passed already.
Sorry to hear that.
So his father is a widower. He's dealing with the grief of losing his mom. And I'm not saying that. I don't know if there's any validity to any other things. I'm just saying about this one incident that I was witness to. I'm saying that it's ridiculous that you don't want to back down from that. Like, show the proof. If you have proof, show it. Help us help you. You know, let us see where we go. Okay, Ruben, you're bad boy, Ruben, you're bucking up or whatever. You're not. You're screaming. You're the Chicken Little. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. You're doing it so much. Nobody believes you now when it's the truth. Cut it out. Grow up. You're a grown ass woman. You're my grams. Like, I remember when I first met her, I was like, I wish she was my grandmother. I'm so glad she said it didn't happen because I wouldn't have been able to take that kind of. That's ridiculous. But then again, she's 70. What is it? 60 something, 70 years old. She's set in her ways. There's nothing that anybody's going to say to change that. You just hope that she gets to it and goes, all right, this is not the fight. This other one is definitely what I've been saying. That's the fight. This one right here is not the fight. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was just like she was embarrassed because he released whatever or whoever released it. I don't know. Released what they released about the dating site, or she's being vindictive. I don't know. What I know is that on this particular instance, with this incident, I don't like it and I don't condone it. And I'm not going to be the one to, like, if by me still following you and all, it's so messed up how social media is, but me still following you or your son or whatever, that means I'm condoning the behavior, and I can't do that. You know, but this is the only time I'll publicly say I do not care for her. I think that she is vindictive. I think that she is a narcissist, and I think that instead of just fighting the good fight, you're fighting any fight to make you to try to look good, and it's horrible.
Absolutely,
That's it.
absolutely. Okay, so let's just go back into exactly, your experiences of being on the show itself in particular, and also because I mean, so far we've spoke about the mental health aspect in terms of obviously how it affected you when the season was on. Because let's not forget the show itself aired like what, a year after it was obviously been filmed,
Yeah,
and you watching at the
yeah,
time it still made an impact in your life, which is obviously not a good thing.
yeah,
And it's crazy
yeah.
because I did say not long ago that I feel like before people go on the show, people should actually seek therapy first, because people really don't know what they're going to be going into. But and obviously the
Mhm.
show itself in particular are never going to do that, are they? But sadly, it is what it is. But obviously, we spoke about the mental health stuff. We spoke about how there can be pressure from Sharp Entertainment whilst filming, how they can try and instigate things, try and manipulate things, how they can obviously try and paint a narrative. We also spoke about how predatory their contracts can be, how they can make you feel like you're in a corner. You know what I mean? Um, is there anything else? Actually, no. So we also touched on the fact that even when you was with Violet in Vietnam, the whole time there was a whole other freaking dude, but they still wanted to push for the storyline regardless, and also how pretty much people are also extremely underpaid as well. Is there anything else that we haven't spoken about that you want to
Mhm.
make clear about everything in general?
No, I mean, the only thing I could say is, first I want to say, and we had this conversation. I thanked you. Because of your platform, it made me see a lot of things about myself that I didn't realize was an issue, right? And I want to thank you for that because it made me really look at myself and how I conduct myself in public and how I'm perceived. And I would have never ever have really addressed those things. And I'm working on it. I'm not perfect, and I'm still working on it. But I want to thank you for that because without you, and everything happens for a reason. I feel that me doing the show and then you doing your content, it forced me to look at something that obviously I've heard it before, right? Because I'm a human being. I have relationships and friends, and they said it before, but I don't. You just saying that because you're this way, right? But to hear it from somebody outside looking in and forcing me to really take a look at myself, it was difficult, but I was grateful for it, and I feel that it's still a journey. I'm still working on certain things. I'm not perfect, but I really appreciate you for bringing certain things and certain aspects. You're very insightful when it comes to that, and I thank you for bringing those things up. Um, to the fans, I get it. Some of you, based on your trauma or your life experiences, you're just gonna believe that I'm a piece of shit, and I get it. I would rather you hate me for the right reasons, hate me because I'm a cocky, asshole, and I just don't take no shit, and I'm gonna tell people how they feel. I'd rather you not like me for that than what you was shown on TV because it wasn't 100% honest and true. You had no context, and it was really unfair. And I think that's what hurt me the most was that I was just like, man, this is unfair. Like they're hating me for something that I really did not do. You know what I mean? Or it happened, but it was a reason why I did something because everything happens for a reason. And if Sharp and TLC people see this, just know I don't hate you. I just don't like you. And all I would like is to have a talk because I have ideas which I shared with them. Like a month into my season, I shared with them. I have ideas how you could help people, first season people coming in navigate this because it's a lot. It's a lot, and without tools, support, or any kind of empathy from the people that are creating the drama or the problem or whatever, or helping to create the drama and the problem, it's just a matter of time before someone like me who had a plan actually goes through with it, and in their manifesto they blame you. So I am open to having a conversation. I'm not trying to sue for money and none of that nonsense. I'm not like some other cast members. I'm suing them for money. I'm like, what the fuck for? You signed what you signed. Like I'm not dumb. I know I signed it. What I want to do is just change the way the business practices and just make sure that the people are compensated properly and their support for when the hate and the this and the that is out there. That's all I want. You know, but if you don't want to, then I know in the contract that by me, even after it's done, this part of the contract is forever. By me releasing that contract, it's an issue. And I know it is, but I'm willing to fall on that sword.
Oh,
If
of
you
course. I mean,
just have the conversation.
no, of course, 100%. I mean, first and foremost, obviously, I appreciate obviously everything you said. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, like I spoke about it before. I'm just a dude who just makes videos, you know what I'm saying? And then whatever happens, happens, you know what I mean? But
That's
if
some
it,
bullshit. You a dude that has a voice that people really be listening, bro. You have some great insight. It's your delivery be hitting. Yo, it be stabbing, man. Sometimes you be saying stuff, they be like, damn. And you be right. You be right. It's just hard to accept the pain of that. Like people say the truth hurts. And a lot of the things during my season that you said, it just hurt, right? But it was the truth. It wasn't everything, but it was based on what you were seeing. But there was certain things and certain aspects of myself that I never thought it was the issue, right? I thought it was everybody else. And when you brought it up and then other people would go, I was like, man, I got to check this shit. It's not them. It's me. I'm the one with the problem. So, yeah, don't say you're just a guy that makes videos. You have an impact. And for one, appreciate the impact. It's hard to swallow that pill sometimes, but for the most part, you're very insightful and a good dude, man. And I appreciate it.
no, listen, I am, listen, I extremely appreciate, you know what I mean? But I honestly am just a dude who makes videos.
I just
But
make videos, man.
but I think that's just how I'm always going to see this because for me personally, uh, I mean, some people may say I'm too humble for my own liking. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I watch a show, I give them my views. You know what I mean? If they make an impact, fantastic. If they don't, it is what it is. But I've always said this though: the main goal behind everything that I do is to make an impact on my audience, not necessarily the cast members, because obviously we are all watching a show that's reality TV, but we also are very aware that the show can be manipulated in certain ways. But despite that, despite the manipulation, the things that we do see are still relatable to people in real life. So if I can say, hey guys,
Mm-hmm.
these are the signs here, these are the signs there, and the people watch me, if they can benefit from it, then I'm happy. You know what I mean? In terms of the cast members, I
Absolutely.
always say that sadly you're just guinea pigs. You know, and that's just what it comes down to, really and truly. As much as I honestly can say it, but that is the reality, and I think that's why. I mean, look at it this way: people forget about how reality TV. I think since it's begun, and since it's peak, especially 90 Day Fiance, I feel like when people go on the show, they really don't understand the power of going on a show like this because a show like 90 Day Fiance, despite the fact that it's based on two people meeting from parts of the world, there's still a lot of things that are relatable when it comes to the relationship aspects that all go through, obviously, as we see it. And because these things are so relatable to everybody else, it's important for people to watch them and then be like, okay, cool. What can I see from here that maybe I'm going through? Or okay,
Hmm.
I'm watching it, I've got an opinion, but now let me go on YouTube or let me go on Instagram and let me know now let me hear someone else's opinion who can tell me something that maybe I'm not seeing. This is what I'm saying, which I guess obviously comes on to what you're saying now is being able to watch it back, reflect, see the things obviously that was said by myself and whoever
Hmm.
else. He was like, you know what, I get it now. Boom, bam, I've learned my lesson.
Yep.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah.
man, but it is what it is,
Not
you know.
everybody is like that though. So not
I mean,
everybody's like that. Some of them double down. I'm like, look, man, my shit stink. I know. I'm not like you said with the pillow. I was like, they were like, so who are you gonna go after? I was like, nobody. Have you seen my story? You seen how I was behaving? Oh no 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 no. I'm not talking shit about nobody. So not everybody can do that. Not everyone can do a self check. And that's the unfortunate part. Some people just don't care.
yeah, I mean, listen, sadly so, but that's why I always say that. I mean, as long as I can attract people that are willing to listen to what I got, happy. But I will say this though, also before we go, I think it's great to have you on today because it's the first time that obviously for myself anyway, be able to obviously have an interview with someone from the show, but also be able to touch on so many different aspects of the show. And I feel like for me personally, the main one that I wanted to touch on both sides, you know,
Yeah.
if you're going on a show now, look at it this way, there were other cast members, such as Kimberly, for example, go on a show and be affected, quite a lot by the experience of being on it. So to be able to speak about the mental health side of things, I feel like it's something that can really maybe help some other cast members that maybe look to go on the show in the future and be like, hey, I
Yeah.
go on this show,
Yep.
be prepared for the editing, be prepared for the madness that's going to happen also on social media, be prepared
Yeah.
and really and truly before you go on the show, make sure you have therapy or something that's going to be able to give you mechanisms to be
Right.
able to cope with
Right.
all the complete madness and also make sure that
Yep.
your purpose is a purpose that's worth it and it's a purpose that you're not going to forget the vision of when you're on it.
That's crazy because I had a cast member reach out to me. I don't want to say their name because I want to get anybody like in the crossfire of my nonsense. But cast member reached out to me today, a new cast member, and I said exactly that. I said, he's like, they asked if I for advice. The person asked for advice. I said, the only advice I could give you is to understand that you won't have any idea how they will edit your story. The hate will come. I'm not going to say the lame thing of ignore the haters because you're human and it will get to you. Know that they, and I'm not going to say their name again, but they Sharp, oh, fuck it, they Sharp and TLC will not provide any mental health support. So you will have to be vigilant and aware of yourself. Stick to whatever plan you had by being on the show. It may be difficult at times, but do your best to stick to your plan. I wish you both luck on your journey. Legit, just sent that. And that's crazy that you said that because I just sent those words. I'm not gonna sit there. I've gotten when they released it, it was like you should sign up for Cameo. Cameo. Here's my referral link or whatever. I'm like, that's not what I needed to hear. I needed to hear that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it to you. It's going to be hard, right? But at least understand what you're getting into ahead of time. And that is the thing that was lost with because you could Google it and you'll see cast members that have a problem with Sharp and TLC or how they were editing, but you don't see anybody speak directly and and create a passion to say, hey, this mental health aspect and the compensation aspect is not fair. It's very predatory. You are gaining everything, and this person might get a blue check mark or some notoriety, but they're not gaining anything per se. That's what people first see the people. Yeah, you come back, that's on you.
I completely get it, man. Honestly, it's been a freaking pleasure. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm
Yeah, man. And I'll always come back, man. If you have other things and you want to talk about it, I'll always come back. My whole goal is to get on a campaign to speak to as many people that would let me speak about the mental health aspect of this situation and that something needs to be done. Like I said, and a lot of people would be like, "Oh, the check." I had one person go, "Oh, because the check stopped, bro." Trust me, it's not the check. This is bigger than me. I don't want any compensation from this. I care less about that. I will do any interview. I'm not going to charge like some people. Oh, I could charge you for an interview. I'm not doing that. I want to get this out. It really is a passion for me because I really was about to do it to myself, and it was because of my involvement with this show. So I just want to be able to try to force the change.
That's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it yourself all the way from Riley. And honestly, it's been a pleasure to have him here. It's been a pleasure to finally have an interview where we really think about, we really talk about the ins and outs of obviously what goes on the show, challenges, obviously what happens or also been in the show. But also, I will say this though. I know that when we watch the show, sometimes there was some cast members that we are unable to stand, right, due to whatever manners they bring in. But I will always say this though. It doesn't mean that it gives us a right to slide into DMs and to say anything that so really interested in doing that. You don't know how much we are in their lives. And I get it, I get it. There are certain cast members that I mean I'll say it myself as obviously I can. I know there's cast members like Big Ed, Angela Deem that, we just and people really want to just let their feelings be known and just want to say X, Y, Z, but really and truly, it's never worth it. You know what I mean? Everybody is still human at the end of the day. I think the best thing we
Hmm.
can do is just give our honest opinions, and whether they like it or not, I guess it is. But to go in
Yeah,
people's DMs and harass them at a time when you don't even know how dark it could be for them, to be honest, if it would be a damn shame if one day we wake up and find that so and so, please be
yeah,
aware of your
yeah.
actions as well. And also on top of that, it is quite hypocritical to have an opinion on a cast member because you don't like what they're doing, but yet you're in the DMs saying a whole bunch of madness that's far worse, maybe even we're seeing them do on screen. So
Hmm.
also be
Yeah,
mindful too. But
yeah.
like I said as well, obviously Riley's obviously can be opening up a cigar lounge at some point soon. Well, at some point when it's ready in Pennsylvania. Please say the name of the location because I
Okay. We're going to be open up in Bartonsville, Pennsylvania, 3280 Route 611 in Bartonsville, Pennsylvania. Hopefully, by God's will, we'll be opening up next month. If not, then August. I'm keeping 100. I'm spending everything I have to get this done. She's contributing as much as she can to get this done. We're not getting any loans. We're not. I was going to do a Kickstarter, but then I changed my mind because cast members be losing their fucking mind with these damn crowdfunding. But Kickstarter, even though I would give gifts, but no, I'm doing everything from my pocket, my savings, my money, and she is also, and we're just doing the best we can with what we have. And thanks to Ruben, people like Ruben who fly in from Miami just to help me, and he really helped me. Like this place is like amazing what he did. And yeah, I mean, hopefully when we open, just follow me, just_Riley on Instagram, and I'll keep it updated and let people know when it opens.
There we go. Just at underscore just without the T at the end, okay? Just at Riley. Follow him, keep updates going, and hopefully if you're local to the area or if you're feeling generous to fly over there, be there and have a good freaking time. But with that being said though, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Please make sure you do like, you subscribe, you also share the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.